Welcome to T News 9 channel. Today, we're diving into a gripping chapter from the novel My Wife is a Gangster, titled Meeting the Mother-in-Law. The scariest person in the mafia is my mother-in-law. My wife told me her mother had invited us over for a casual cup of tea. That was a complete and utter lie. What I walked into wasn't a tea party. It was a full-blown interrogation. The moment we stepped inside, the air went still. The silence was so heavy you could almost hear it. There she was, my mother-in-law, sitting across from me at a large polished table. She was the picture of elegance and composure, a stark contrast to the tension I felt coiling in my stomach. With hands as steady as a surgeon's, she gracefully poured the tea. The clinking of the porcelain cup, the only sound in the vast room. Then, the questions began. She started with the basics, asking about my job, my ambitions, my vision for the future. Each question was a carefully placed stepping stone, and I knew I had to tread lightly. I chose my words with extreme caution, making sure every answer was measured and precise. I felt like I was defusing a bomb with each sentence. After a few minutes of this verbal chess match, she paused, her gaze locking onto mine. Her eyes were sharp, missing nothing. She asked, "Do you love my daughter?" There was no hesitation. "Yes," I said, the word coming out firm and clear. She gave a slow, deliberate nod, as if confirming something she already knew. And then came the real test. The question that hung in the air like a guillotine. Would you die for her? The room, already chilly, seemed to drop another 10 degrees. I didn't need to think about it. The answer was already there, rooted deep inside me. "Yes," I said, my voice steady, my conviction absolute. She just stared at me for what felt like an eternity, her expression unreadable. Then, the corner of her mouth lifted into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Without another word, she reached for the teapot and poured me another cup. "I see," she said softly. There were no threats, no raised voices, no dramatic ultimatums. Just that bone-deep silence and her knowing gaze. It was more terrifying than any weapon I'd ever faced. As we finally left, my wife squeezed my hand, a silent signal of support. "You did well," she whispered, her voice a lifeline. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for the entire hour. It was only later that night that the full weight of the day hit me. I hadn't just married the love of my life. I had married into her entire world. A world where a simple cup of tea could feel like a life or death trial. And somehow, against all odds, I had survived. That tea was more dangerous than any gun. Chapter 7 of My Wife is a Gangster, When the Past Comes Knocking. He was an old rival, showing up at our door completely uninvited. He walked in with this confident, arrogant smirk that never quite reached his eyes. He started talking about the past, reminiscing about old victories and how things were supposedly better before. It was all just a power play, a way to make himself feel important. Then, his gaze fell on my wife, and he let out a short, cold laugh. "You've gone soft," he sneered, looking her up and down. Marrying a normal man like him, he glanced at me, dismissing me with a look. I didn't plan to react. I really didn't, but my body moved on its own. I was on my feet before I even knew it. The words came out, calm but firm. "She chose peace," I said, my voice cutting through the tension. "But don't ever confuse her kindness with weakness." The room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. The rival's smug smile vanished in an instant. My wife didn't say a single word. She just watched, and then, a slow, knowing smile spread across her face. It was the only signal her people needed. Two men, who had been standing silently in the corner, stepped forward. They gently, almost too gently, took the rival by his arms and escorted him out of our home. It was quiet, efficient, and utterly chilling. Later that night, long after the unwelcome guest was gone, my wife came to me. She wrapped her arms around me and hugged me tighter than she ever had before. Her voice was just a soft whisper in my ear. "Thank you, husband." In that single moment, holding her, I realized something profound. I didn't need to be a fighter. I didn't need to be strong in the way her world demanded. I just needed to be there, to stand beside her, unwavering. And that was a different kind of strength, one she valued more than anything. And from that day on, no one laughed again. Chapter 8 of My Wife is a Gangster. I wanted to help the mafia. They gave me paperwork. Seriously, I was tired of just being known as the boss's husband. I wanted to contribute, be a part of the team. So one morning, I gathered my courage and walked up to my wife. "I want to help the family business," I announced. She looked up from her coffee, a flicker of surprise in her eyes, which quickly turned into amusement. A slow smile spread across her face. "Okay," she said, and I felt a little thrill of excitement. This was it, my chance to prove myself. About 5 minutes later, a mountain of a man walked into my office and unceremoniously dropped a stack of folders on my desk. And when I say stack, I mean a tower. It was huge. I cautiously opened the top folder. Receipts. The next one. Ledgers. Then spreadsheets. My heart sank. I flipped through page after page, a dizzying blur of numbers swimming before my eyes. The man stood there, stone-faced. "This," he said, with a voice like gravel, "is last month. Last month. Just last month." A cold wave of terror washed over me. I suddenly realized a horrifying truth. Mafia accounting is way scarier than guns. At least guns are straightforward. They do what they're supposed to do. But numbers are sneaky. They lie. They hide things. This was a whole different kind of battlefield. I spent the entire day hunched over that desk. My eyes burned from staring at tiny figures. I was checking totals, cross-referencing invoices, and seriously questioning every single decision I had ever made that led me to this moment. Around noon, my wife strolled past my open door. She paused, glanced at the chaotic mess of papers, then at my frazzled expression, and let out a laugh. But it wasn't a mean, evil laugh. It was warm, genuine. She pointed a finger at me, a playful glint in her eyes. "This," she said, "is exactly why I married you." I looked up, completely bewildered. "For torture?" I asked. She just smiled, that enigmatic smile of hers. "Trust," she replied, before walking away. Trust. The word echoed in my head. By the end of the day, my brain felt like scrambled eggs. My back was screaming in protest. My soul was packed and ready for a very long vacation. But I'd done it. The numbers were clean. The books were balanced. As I finally leaned back in my chair, some of the men who had been watching me all day walked past and gave me a nod of respect. I wasn't just the boss's husband anymore. Later that night, my wife brought me a cup of tea. She sat on the edge of my desk, the silence comfortable between us. "Thank you," she said softly. I managed a weak smile. It turns out, I didn't need a weapon to be useful in this family. All I needed was a calculator. Chapter 9 of My Wife is a Gangster. Not every day in a mafia family is dangerous. Not every day was filled with loud arguments or the constant hum of tension. Not every day involved secret meetings, hushed threats whispered over the phone, or a parade of stern-looking men in black suits. Some nights were just quiet, and tonight was one of those rare, precious nights. The entire house was wrapped in an unusual calm. The usual guards weren't patrolling the hallways right outside our door. My wife's phone was in T, buzzing with urgent calls that would pull her away into the darkness. It was just the two of us, sitting on the living room couch. We were watching some mind-numbingly boring show on TV. You know the type, the kind of program you forget the moment the credits roll. It was just background noise, a flicker of light in the dim room. After a while, my wife let out a soft sigh and rested her head on my shoulder. In that moment, she wasn't the feared leader of the underworld. There were no hidden weapons tucked into her waistband. Her posture wasn't coiled with tension, ready to strike. There was just the simple, comforting warmth of her presence beside me. And it was then, in that profound stillness, that I had a realization. The world saw her as this terrifying, powerful, untouchable figure. A woman who commanded respect and fear in equal measure. But right now, resting against me, she was just tired. The weight of her world seemed to momentarily lift, and all that was left was the person underneath the legend. She sighed again, a sound so soft I almost missed it, and whispered, "Sometimes, I wish things were simpler." I didn't offer a reply. What could I say? Instead, I just wrapped my arm around her and held her a little closer, hoping my actions spoke louder than any empty words could. For the first time, I truly understood. This chaotic, dangerous life wasn't just a threat to me, the outsider who married into it. It was a heavy burden for her to carry every single day. And strangely, in that moment of shared silence, I felt a wave of happiness wash over me. I was happy to be here, in this exact spot. Happy to share the weight of her world, even just a little. Happy to be her husband. But peace never lasts forever in this house.
Chapter 10. My life now. I used to be a normal office worker. I used to live a simple life. Wake up, go to work. Come home tired. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous. Now, Well, now I live in a house guarded by men in black suits. I drink my morning coffee during what they call mafia meetings. And I'm married to a woman who rules men twice her size, but can't seem to cook rice without setting off the smoke alarm. It's a strange contrast, isn't it? People fear her. I've seen it. They lower their voices when she enters a room. Tough-looking guys suddenly find their shoes very interesting, avoiding her eyes at all costs. They see a fearsome leader, a gangster, the boss. But what do I see? I see a woman who sends me a text in the middle of a high-stakes negotiation just to ask if I've eaten lunch. I see the woman who once tried to boil water and somehow managed to burn the pot. I see the way her eyes crinkle at the corners when I tease her, a genuine laugh that no one else gets to hear. This world is dangerous. It's loud, chaotic, and completely unforgiving. There are guns, secrets, and a constant threat lurking just around the corner. It's everything my old life wasn't, and yet, when I'm with her, it feels more like home than any place I've ever known. It's in the quiet moments, late at night, after all the guards have settled and the world outside has gone silent. It's just us. She trusts me. In a world built on suspicion and betrayal, she gives me her complete trust. And somehow, that trust matters more than all the fear she commands. It's a weight, a responsibility, but it's also the greatest honor of my life. I didn't choose this life of crime and power. It sort of happened to me. But I choose her. I choose her every single day without hesitation. And this is the happiest life I've ever known.